Imagine being one of 15,000 North Korean troops deployed to Russia, promised glory and purpose. Now imagine watching drone footage of your comrades, artillery, trucks, men turned to ash in less than 2 minutes. That fear spread instantly across the contingent. These weren't reinforcements anymore, they were targets. In this video, we'll uncover the psychological impact on the soldiers left behind, and why that matters as much as the destroyed weapons themselves. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Why would elite North Korean artillery, considered untouchable by propaganda, vanish in less than 2 minutes? That question rattled through both Russian channels and Pyongyang's controlled broadcasts, because the answer tore open the reality of what was supposed to be an impressive show of power. Reinforcements had arrived with ceremony, trains carrying uniformed soldiers, convoys marked with both Russian and Korean insignia, and heavy weapons intended to project deterrence. On paper, it was a statement: thousands of men, with their long-range guns, entering the war. In practice, that statement was silenced almost instantly. The decision to send them wasn't just about numbers. Pyongyang wanted more than symbolic participation. By deploying an estimated 15,000 troops alongside substantial artillery, North Korea signaled loyalty to Moscow at a time when Russia needed visible support. Among the units were specialized crew teams operating massive 170mm guns, weapons originally designed for coastal bombardment, but adapted into long-range artillery capable of reaching deep into Ukrainian lines. These guns, known for their size as much as their loud crack when fired, were supposed to embody resilience. For decades, propaganda films had shown them pounding imaginary American positions, but the battlefield near Kursk wasn't the same as a training film. When they rolled into position outside a small copse of trees, 3 coxswain pieces were lined up alongside more than 60 soldiers. Ammunition trucks idled nearby, stacked high with shells. From ground level, it looked secure, almost routine. Men in helmets pacing out distances, adjusting barrels, and setting up camouflaged netting. The crews believed the placement gave them cover and the ability to fire without immediate exposure. What they didn't factor into their assumptions was that orbiting drones, silent and persistent, were already circling overhead. The shift from confidence to vulnerability happened slowly and invisibly. At first, the men went about their work, checking elevation tables and waiting for orders. But on the Ukrainian side, every adjustment, every truck pulling into place, was being charted into strike coordinates. Heavily armed crews believed they were preparing for offensive fire missions. They were in fact standing in the middle of a grid the enemy had drawn for them. That imbalance matters, because artillery is designed for sustained barrages, not for surviving precision strikes. North Korea brought mass, big guns, dozens of men, and tons of ammunition, but faced a system that only needed seconds and 3 guided rockets to negate it. The longer the crews waited, the more precise the calculations became. The Ukrainian command didn't need an hour of shelling or counter-battery duels. They needed just one sequence of launch, guided by a drone feed slipping back across encrypted lines. Fragments of confiscated field notes later hinted at the soldiers' preparation. They were drilled to bait drones with dummy targets, fake howitzers set out under tarpaulins, false movement of decoy trucks. The instruction drilled into them was clear: draw the drones in, and then knock them down with ground fire. But the roles had reversed. Drones weren't chasing targets. Targets were standing still, while drones acted as invisible beacons for incoming missiles. That realization, according to scraps recovered from destroyed packs, hit right before the sky flared red. Stories circulated about 1 page, covered with rough stick figures. It sketched men sending decoys one way, while drones circled the other, arrows showing pursuit. The drawing was almost childish, a tool for young soldiers to visualize tactics. Yet in Kursk, drones weren't the ones being tricked. They were quietly guiding high-precision rockets down onto a field crowded with men and machines. In 91 seconds, the entire regiment's position shifted from preparation to devastation. The 3 coxswain guns collapsed in twisted wreckage, trucks burned, and most of the 60 men stopped moving altogether. What Pyongyang painted as reinforcement turned, under the precision of one strike, into a demonstration that their forces were only vulnerable targets far from home. The loss carried a deeper effect than the destruction itself. The remaining thousands inside Russia witnessed the truth. Survival wasn't measured in battalions anymore. It was measured in seconds. But the real shock came not from the destruction alone. It came from the equation behind it, how 3 rockets rewrote the cost of modern war. How can a $450,000 strike cripple $50 million worth of enemy equipment? And why does that matter more than the explosion itself? That single imbalance is what turned the Kursk incident into more than a battlefield story. It turned into a lesson about the economics of modern war. On one side, 3 HIMARS rockets, each carrying a precision warhead and guided with pinpoint accuracy. On the other, 3 Coxswain artillery systems built to terrorize through raw size and weight, along with the trucks, fuel, and trained crews supporting them. The numbers do not match. The rockets cost less than $500,000, while the weapons they destroyed represented a foreign partner's investment that Russia had hoped to showcase. Once, military outcomes were calculated by how much firepower one side could sustain against the other. Mass bombardments stretched out for hours, often leveling entire villages, before the enemy was forced to pull back. It was blunt, brutal, and costly in every way. But the arrival of precision weapons changed the formula. No extended exchange was needed. No wide front of shells pounding blindly into the distance. A drone watching a single battery could translate location into a grid. A remote operator could enter those coordinates. Then 3 rockets erased what hours of artillery dueling could not. That shift turned not just weapons into targets, but entire strategies into relics. For the men on the ground, the numbers translated into something much harsher. 3 rockets meant an entire artillery regiment shredded, 60 lives gone in the space of 91 seconds. 3 artillery pieces twisted into useless steel, ammunition trucks gone up in flames. An entire support column, men, machines, and ammunition vanished from Moscow's strength in less than 2 minutes. The human cost became inseparable from the financial one. Each missile not only erased hardware, but it erased trust. Trust in the assumption that heavy reinforcement could arrive intact, or that numbers alone could protect anyone. The aftermath told the quiet truth. Russia did not announce heroic reinforcements. Instead, reports whispered that Moscow ordered all Coxswain deployments frozen. Not shifted to another site, not massed elsewhere, frozen. The partnership with Pyongyang meant little if every deployment ended the same way, in wreckage and fire. Russia had sought strength. What it witnessed was implosion. The illusion shattered as quickly as the guns broke apart. So the $450,000 committed was more than an expenditure. It dismantled illusions that fortresses or long-range artillery could protect foreign reinforcements. The lesson spread through every unit watching. Survival was not a matter of thousands of men standing shoulder to shoulder. It had narrowed into seconds ticking down from the moment a drone's eye caught you in its frame. And from that point forward, war in Ukraine meant counting those seconds. The Kursk strike wasn't just about 3 destroyed guns. It revealed how speed and intelligence now outweigh bulk firepower. What once demanded layers of artillery or waves of men collapsed into seconds controlled by precision. The transformation reshaped not only tactics, but the mindset of everyone still deployed. The lesson is clear. Battles today are not measured in months of grinding attrition, but in seconds of accurate targeting. The next decisive moment in Ukraine's war could be as brief as the last. So consider this. Where will the next 91 seconds fall? And who will be watching when they do?